This video helps us understand how to submit an incident into Sapphire. So you'll notice I'm highlighting there how to click on or how to find new incident. Again, remember, you log in and you simply scroll down once you're on the right page and you click new incident. Our first step is going to be to identify our student ID, our date, our time, and of course we know the school, but if you ever did have to change it, that's where you would choose a different school. To find a student, you can enter their ID number, or you can just enter them by last name. So for example, if I type in Appenzeller, and the internet decides to play along, I'll get a pop-up menu that looks like this, and I can click Ian's name. Two important things to note. You want to use the date the infraction or incident occurred and the time the incident occurred. We use that data to help us figure out where we should be, what we should be focusing on, and when we should be focusing on a particular kind of behavior. So we'll say the behavior happened today. Now it's 3:08 in the afternoon when I did this, but let's say that it happened early this morning. So we'll say it happened at 7:35 in the morning. Now I've entered that, and the only thing I need to do is right up here in the upper corner, click Save. I'll see a page that looks like this. It's at this point we want to remember a couple of things. The first is that since this is an incident, we want to make sure we're using only the minor offenses. Remember, I put a link to this a few slides ago, and when you click on it, it shows you the behavior, the Sapphire code, and the definition. Let's say in this particular instance, Ian was a classroom disruption. Okay, let's figure things out. First, you'll see the date I picked and the time. This should be your name, the school, high school. You can ignore this feature right there. You can ignore that feature right there. You can ignore that feature right there. What you want to do first is choose the location. Most of the time, this will be classroom, hallways, bathrooms, those kinds of places. But you want to pick the actual location. In this case, we'll say teacher's classroom. Offender type, it's a student. Here's what you want to do. There are a number of tabs here. We're going to use two of them, infraction action and student behavior. First thing we do is add the infraction. This is where our definitions comes to play. Classroom disruption engages in low intensity but inappropriate discussion. When you click this drop down, you'll see the list of all the infractions. You want to go down to the one that matches the list of definitions, MCD, classroom disruption. I compare that to my list, MCD, classroom disruption, minor offense. This is an incident. So, next, I want to click the student behavior tab. I'm going to give my best guess as to what this behavior from Ian obtained. Maybe he was goofing around with some friends, so I'll click peer attention. Maybe he asked me a question, I didn't hear it, he got a little snarky, so maybe it's adult attention. Maybe it was over a cell phone. Or maybe I have no idea. But this gives us a chance to kind of think about the student's mindset. during the infraction. And then underneath, we have our tracks. Which tracks did this student violate? Did they fail to take responsibility? Did they not show respect for self or others, or act safely, or come prepared to learn? Did they keep their hands and feet to themselves, or to solve problems peacefully? We do this because it lets us know the language you used to address the student, and then I can use the same language when I meet with a student who gets this incident. Maybe you're going to say, well, he's disruptive, he was not respectful to self and others, so I addressed him using the language of tracks. When we're in a classroom, when we're working with other people, we want to use words that are kind, compassionate. We want to embrace what's going on and listen to other people's opinions. That could be what I do. Then I'm going to go down to my official description. This is where you write a brief, observable narrative. Don't try to guess anything. Don't try and make assumptions. This is just observable narrative of behaviors and statements that were said and done. We want it to be observable and just a narrative, because this will be sent to parents in a letter format. If you need to include another student, I'm putting this in all capitals because we can't violate student privacy. We want to use student initials. So maybe in my narrative, it could look like, and here's an example, Ian was busy pulling on BH's ponytail. Okay, how do we know who BH is? That's what this tab is for right here, called Notes. I'll click that tab, and in it I'll do BH equals Brooke Hunter. This way, admin knows who BH is, but we protect that student's privacy. Once I've entered this information, and this is all I have to do, infraction, location, behavior obtained, track avoided, narrative, observable sequence of events, avoid student names, all I have to do is click Save, and then we're done. And you've entered an incident. What I can say is that if this is an incident for documentation purposes only, after your observable narrative, you may want to write documentation purposes only. If this is something that requires no action needed. If it requires action, it's not just for documentation, so you would get rid of that information. That's all. If you have any questions or concerns, please let me know.